Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, yes, it's the Constitution Amendment that continues taking the front page and burner today. We're joined now by Senator Ayo Arise to look at this matter. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
I mean, yesterday while we looked at that autonomy for local government, we had, someone who had been in that local government, and he raised quite a wide number of issues on this one. And then this morning, 36 governors fight autonomy for LGs. And the paper here, they say, look, don't forget, two factions of Nigeria Governors Forum, but now they're all united because of this singular aim. Do you think that sometimes the Senate would have seen the National Assembly, because, I mean, they are in touch politically with their colleagues across board, so they will know what to expect about some of the responses about this amendment, you think?
Well, again, it's a very controversial subject. I for one, I think rather than creating a unitary system of government, we should be looking towards federalism. And in the federal system, the states should be responsible for creation of local government. So the issue of autonomy actually does not concern the federal government. Because if we resolve that issue and the states are able to create the local government, because there's no way, I've always stood for the fact that the listing of local governments in the Constitution precludes the fact that, okay, or suggests that we will never grow unless we make a constitutional amendment. And the governors are able to see the development in their various states, so they will know which local government or which city or which area now qualifies to become a local government. And if we put that at the federal level, then it only means we are not practicing federalism. So the issue of granting autonomy should come in after you say, okay, you are the state. When you now create local government, you should allow those local governments to run. And the issue of sending money to local governments directly from the federal government, I think it's an aberration. The states should be able to create local governments as they see, as they deem fit. The example in Lagos is still very, very relevant in this matter. Lagos had about 20-something, maybe 26 or something local governments. And when you compare that to what obtains in Kano, it's about 40 or something thereabout. So, and are we now saying that the need for local government creation is not germane in Lagos State because the population continues to actually grow?
Yeah, but so isn't it that the states can create local government, but it has to be finalized when the National Assembly approves it?
Yes, and what makes it very difficult, there is the fiscal aspect of it that is attached. I think that's under Section 8 or something, between 7 and 8 of the Constitution. Now, because the federal government must allocate money to local governments the way it is structured now. And we are saying, I personally am a proponent of that let the states create their local governments. They can determine which area qualifies for splitting. Because if you have one local government in a place like, let's say, Mushin, for example, as big as it is, it's actually bigger in terms of population than some states. So why would the federal government restrict, or any constitution for that matter, restrict the creation of local government, developmental areas, and now create money, which is actually at par, is equal to some local governments that barely have 2,000, 3,000 people, inhabited. So I think the way we should look at it is that the National Assembly should please take a second look at this particular provision, resolve the issue of who is responsible for the creation of local governments, remove the listing of local governments from the Constitution so that the state government can create their own local governments. Thereafter, the issue of autonomy becomes relevant if the federal government continues to send money, not to the states, but to the states and to the local governments. And that means the federal government will be mindful of the kind of money expended, the percentages allocated, which has become a major problem. Some people will be looking at a situation whereby a local government, like my local government in Ekiti, for example, will be taking the same money as maybe a local government, Etiosa or something in Lagos. So how do you justify such discrepancies, looking at the population, the infrastructure, the people they need to take care and cater for, the number of primary schools, elementary schools, and all that? So for me, I think this matter goes beyond that autonomy. We should allow the states to create local governments. Simple.
You know, another issue has to do with the tenure of local government, which they were trying to also define in section 296A. You know, before now, a lot of people haven't actually been able to pinpoint how the tenure of local government administration is. In some states, you get to see them conduct local government elections maybe after every 3 years, while some you don't get to hear or get to see anything like that in the life of that administration. That's another good step, now trying to put a tenure to that.
Well, again, we copied the American system. And in Arkansas, the state where Bill Clinton is from, the governorship term, while it started, was 2 years, while some states were having elections every 4 years. Now, he had the 2 years for a while, then they amended their constitution in the state to say we want 4 years. So it went to 4 years. If you allow the states to create the local governments, the practice is, okay, if you say you want your local governments to change every 2 years, so be it. And if you want it to change every 4 years, good enough. Because it allows more people. I mean, it allows the population and the people to decide how good a chairman of a local government is performing. So he has about 2 years to contend with such person. If it's not doing well, and if he's doing well, he has the opportunity to go for another 2 years and continues to, to seek re-election. And ditto, the House of Reps in the U.S. It's every 2 years election. So there is no, I mean, there is no one way to justify whether we should make it 3 years fixed or we should make it 4 years fixed, now to begin to detect some of these problems. We want to follow the U.S. Constitution. Let us follow it correctly. I believe that is the direction we should be moving. If we say every 2 years, more so in this country, where you allow a person and the person turns out to be a bad administrator, you have to contend with that person for 4 years. So it shouldn't be fixed. Some states can say, okay, we want 2 years, or 3 years, or 4 years. That should be left to the states. It's still the same thing, in terms of who is responsible for the local government administration.
But it's going to be a bit tricky now, because
Yes.
if a state says, no, ours is 2, another
Yes.
says ours is 3, another says ours is 4.
Yes.
Don't forget that part of the amendment to the Constitution, which the National Assembly did, is
INEC.
that INEC will now be conducting the elections. No more state electoral commissions.
Yes.
So that's what we'll see. How does it balance and sit with our logistics?
You see, in terms of logistics, it's more responsibility for INEC, and it is just because of the experience people. You see, we try to resolve one problem, and we create another one somehow. The local government elections have been a total sham. Whichever governor is in control at the center actually rigs the election massively. So no opposition. In very, very few cases would you see opposition emerging as chairman of local government. You saw the case that happened in Lagos with Koroson. And even though I think the court still gave it back to APC, but the young man won in his local government in the Ikoyi area. But because he belonged to the opposition, and these people will take nothing short of total. And so, because
Either
of that,
for PDP or for APC.
or for APC, it's not unique to any particular party. It's a practice. When you are in government, you want to show that, okay, I'm in charge, and you want to take everything so that for them to be able to actually continue to control the resources of the local government, because constitutionally, now with this autonomy, they won't have access to it. That is resolving that issue. But the larger problem of ability for a governor to determine that, okay, these are local governments that need to be created, because these people have really grown. I mean, my own local government in Oyo Ekiti now has a federal university. The population of the university alone actually qualifies the local government to be split. And now, if you leave that to the federal government, and you can't get the local government split down the line, or maybe 2 or 3, it becomes a major problem. Because what you are now responsible for as a local government continues to expand. The roads, everything that you need to maintain continues to grow. So when you look at it critically, I think I'm in line totally with the U.S. Constitution, the way they practice this federalism.
But shouldn't we
should
amend, tailor
we can tailor it
to the way it suits us?
Exactly. The way it suits us, for now, the problem of the governors dipping their hands into the local government money, this amendment would resolve that.
But now, look at
But
that.
certainly, it's not going to pass, because the states, they control their assemblies. So the assemblies, I mean, the governors will simply ask them not to approve it, because we require two-thirds. So some of these things, when an amendment of this nature comes up, and it's so controversial, if you don't carry the governors along, it's not going to fly. That is the problem. So what we need, and what I see the governors clamoring for, the executive arm, is the ability, let us have a federal structure practiced well. You know, and if you don't want to do that, then let's change our constitution totally.
No,
and
but
say,
if you say carry the governors along,
Yes.
we thought that when you're amending the constitution, it's what the people want. And we expect the governors to key into what the people want.
You say, when you talk about the people, you have representatives. The governors represent their states at that level. Now, you move beyond that, because everybody in the country is not going to be speaking, you know, is not going to have a voice. They must have representatives. That's the system of government we practice. The governors, they are representing, they have been elected by their people, and that means they are representing their people, regardless of the number of people that elected them. They are the representative. And so, if you don't carry them along on any particular major constitutional change, it's not going to fly. Because when you get to, if 36 of them are joining together to say, we will not support it, you will see that they will return this thing.